We all have a personal brand. I think the words personal brand often turn people off. Failures make you human. They don't put clients off.
Welcome back to What's the Trick? I'm your host, Ben Hanlin, and this is the podcast where I sit down with the world's most creative people to try and understand their creative process. How do actors, comedians, musicians, magicians come up with ideas and turn them into reality? We get into that process. And this week's guest is personal brand expert, entrepreneur, Amelia Sordell. Now, I've been a big fan of her for years. I've been watching her content on LinkedIn for years now. So if you don't know, she's got 250,000 followers on LinkedIn, and she's all about personal brand. How did she get there, though? Bit of her backstory. It is she, at 21, started a fashion brand, and it got big really quickly. She was in shops. She was about to do deals with brands like ASOS, and then it all went bust. And she's been really honest about this. It pulled the rug from under her, and she really felt it. But she picked herself back up. She got some other jobs, and she ended up in a job in recruitment. And while she was there, she was building her personal brand on LinkedIn to the point where people within the business were asking her to train other people on personal brand. She thought, there's an idea here. She quit her job and she started Klowt agency. And that was in 2020. And in a short time, she went from zero to $4 million in turnover. And that was a personal brand agency. And their clients were some of the UK's biggest CEOs, founders, companies, all building their personal brands online and in person. The way she created that was incredible. But again, she's been really honest about her story, and there were problems. They scaled too quickly. There was rapid growth. She was burnt out. She was trying to balance work life, home life, during a divorce, whilst raising 2 young kids. So she scaled all that back. It's a lot more a simpler, smaller agency now. She does a lot of consultancy on personal brand. So that brings us up to speed. But the question, I suppose, is why did I want to speak to Amelia? Because I love personal brand. And I think as a creative, I've been doing personal brand without realizing it for 20 years. I am my business. And I think all creatives and solopreneurs really need to invest and think about their personal brand as we dig into here. And if you're not exactly one of those two people, but maybe you work for a bigger company, you think, well, how does this apply to me? Is having a strong personal brand can help you with other things in life and your career opportunities. So I do think this episode is going to apply to everybody. And I also wanted to look at the creative side of a personal brand. So what do we talk about? We cover how you'd grow a LinkedIn audience and why LinkedIn is so important in whatever we're trying to do right now, possibly for most of you, and also what a personal brand actually means and how do you build one, and the other things as well about social media and creating content. How do you come up with ideas? How do you stay consistent? So this episode is extremely honest, as you'll hear, as Amelia is not scared of showing all sides of her wins, her losses. There is some slightly naughty language as well, if you've got any young one listening on speakers or anything like that, so just be aware of that. But in essence, this is going to be a masterclass in personal brand, consistency, creativity, social media. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Without any further ado, here is What's the Trick with Amelia Sordell. Let's start with personal brand. So for anyone listening, can you sum up what that is?
Your personal brand is essentially a reputation at scale. People love to gatekeep very simple concepts like this by overcomplicating it, trying to make themselves sound clever. But to me, your personal brand is everything. It's how you act, it's how you dress, it's how you greet people, it's whether you shake your hand with someone when you meet them, it's how firm your handshake is, it's what you wear, it's how you answer the phone, it's did you snatch the coffee from the person in Starbucks or did you say thank you so much, hope you have a good day? Like all of these things become part of your personal brand. And I think the issue that I have maybe a little bit more with the word personal branding at the minute is that most people see this sitting on social media exclusively and therefore don't realize that reputation is so much deeper than just the surface level content you share. Like you can be a amazing, motivational, inspirational person online. If you're an asshole in real life, then you don't have a strong personal brand. So you've got to see it as a full body, I think, as part of who you are rather than just who you pretend to be on.
Yeah, that's a great summary. Something I heard once was when somebody says, what's a brand, right? And this is like an old marketing thing, but I heard, what is a brand? A brand is what people say about your business when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
And a personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And oftentimes, like, and I can say this from experience, the relationships that I've built off my offline personal brand, so doing things like this, meeting you, like meeting people at events, etc., have been more fruitful than the things that I've done online. So I think it's important that people understand that personal brand isn't just something you build, you already have one. But if you're not actively thinking about what you want it to look like, what it does look like, you might not like.
Okay. And for somebody listening that might think, well, why do I need one? So I get what it is, but why do I need to start thinking about one and having one?
I suppose I kind of said it just then. Like everyone has one. Like we don't need one. You have one already. Like it's like an arsehole. Everyone's got one, right? Like everyone has one, but what it looks like is up to you. Like you have a personal brand with your children. I have a personal brand with you. Like, you know, we all have a personal brand. I think the words personal brand often turn people off because they think, I don't want to be an influencer, I don't want to be a creator, I don't want to be in the spotlight, so I don't need one. But like what people don't realize is they have one already. And you don't need to post on social media to build a strong personal brand. Like if you're employed, for example, like network with people, go and speak to the senior leaders in your business and ask them for some mentorship, go and ask for extra work, like promote your ideas, talk up in meetings. Like these are all things that are going to build your personal brand that don't necessarily involve you posting anything online. Yeah,
because if you've done those things you've just listed there, what are those senior people in the business going to say about you when you're not in the room? When you're
not in the room, exactly.
Let's dive into Klowt. So let's kick off at the point maybe when Klowt launched.
Yeah.
And just quickly give us the headlines of what has happened in the last few years. So you've launched a business, just quick top lines, what happened, the kind of clients you took on, and where Klowt has evolved to.
So when we first launched, when I say we, like everyone does that, right? When I first launched the business, it became a we, but we started with an I. When I first started the business, I really had no fucking idea what I was doing. I knew that I was onto something, and we were in an opportunity. I've spoken about this before, but we were in a world, I don't know if anyone can remember the hangover of COVID, but we were in a world where the banks weren't allowed to take your home away if you didn't make mortgage payments. Like credit card companies couldn't come after you for missed payments because like everything was on pause. So I was like, perhaps slightly naively, like, what have I got to lose? Like there is never going to be an opportunity where I can quit my job and maybe it all go wrong and not be okay.
Did you, if you don't mind me asking, did you take out a bit of money?
No.
And put it, no, okay, fine.
No, I had no equity. Fine. I had nothing. I didn't put any cash into the business. I just thought, fuck it, I'll quit and just see what happens.
Okay. And with that, because people have these thoughts every day of, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do this thing I love.
Yeah.
Did you have a client on board?
No.
Because right,
no plan B.
Most people would say, I'm going to work in the evenings, get one client.
That is the great way to do it. That is a really sensible way to do it.
As soon as they sign that contract, I'm handing in my notice.
So I quit on a Friday, started on Monday with no clients signed up.
Right.
The one thing I would say is this. I'd already generated a sort of following a community of about 13,000 people on LinkedIn at this point who were following me specifically for personal branding advice. And I knew that was going to be the focus for Klowt. I didn't know it was going to be a personal branding agency, but I knew I wanted to start an agency that had humans at the center of it. So that's what we went on and do it. The second thing is I knew I wanted to do this from April. I actually left my job in August.
Okay.
So from April to August, I basically planted the seed with my then CEO, shout out Joe Curtis, absolute legend. I'm obsessed with him still to this day. And I was like, we should be doing workshops because it was a private equity company that basically invested in recruitment companies. And I said, we should start putting on workshops to teach recruitment companies how to get their consultants to build their personal brand, because that's one of the reasons they brought me into that business, to help the kind of team kind of get up to speed with that. He was like, yeah, I love it. And I was already getting inbound messages from particularly people in the recruitment space, because that was the place I was working in, saying, do you train people? So we started running workshops where I didn't get paid anything extra from my salary. So it was great for the business because they were making extra profit for, my salary. All the leads were coming inbound to me. So they didn't have to add any workload to anyone else. So it was a win-win for them and a lose-lose for me, right? From a financial perspective. And a lot of my friends at the time were like, what are you doing? Like, you're not getting paid for this stuff. Like it's extra work for you, whatever. And I was like, yeah, but what you don't understand is I'm going to quit and I'm going to do this full time. So if I can get 5 or 6 workshops, training sessions, strategy sessions, whatever it is, under my belt in the time that I am here, where I've got a safe paycheck, I know I've got money coming in, like it's all good. By the time I leave, I've got that down pat and I know how I can go and sell that. And I've got then testimonials that I can prove that I was doing a good job too.
Do you know what's quite good about that is what you've to sum that up, what you've done is you've gone, I've got this idea, I'm going to test it for free and quickly.
Yeah,
so
and get paid to fuck up about it, right? Like, it didn't matter whether it went well or badly. Like, I was still getting paid. So.
Because that's it. If you're going to run a coaching or workshop, you've got to test it. You've done 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever it is. It's funny, like when I started I do keynote speaking, and all I wanted to do was do it for free for 5, 6, 7 of them, just to get it rolling, and then eventually start charging for it. So getting it tested and up and running is good. So you quit your job, and then you've started Klowt. So let's go from there then. So you've started. What was the headlines of how you got clients? What did you offer? What was the first few years of Klowt? Very quickly.
So as I said, quit my job on the Friday, started the business on the Monday. On that Monday, I did an announcement post. Some people don't do this, right? No one puts in their social media, I'm starting this business. Here is how you can support me, which is basically what I did. And that post got hundreds and hundreds of reactions, hundreds of comments, got reshared with loads of people. And I won my first 2 clients that week. So that was kind of step 1. Step 2 was...
And so can I just break, so you won 2 clients. So just very quickly, what are you offering those clients? They're going to be on a retainer, but what do you do for them?
It's a great question, because at the time I was like, I don't know. They were like, we need help with this. And I was like, sure. Okay. How much is it going to cost? I don't know, £900? Great. Like, that was basically the conversation. The first retainer I won was with a NED CEO, paid me a certain amount of money each month to write content for him and help him grow his business and generate inbound leads for him.
On LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn specifically. And then the second client I won was quite a large recruitment company, like still one of the biggest in the UK here to date. And they wanted me to come in and train their team. So straight off the bat, I'd already made my monthly salary from 2 clients.
Great.
Which was great.
Cool. Then what happens? So fast forward a couple of years, just give us the story arc in a couple of years.
Yeah. So because I was so proactive in building my personal brand, because I knew from my history as a recruiter that people buy from people. And I was pretty successful in my career in recruitment because I understood that. And so I'd post content about what I was doing, and I'd DM CEOs on LinkedIn and have a conversation with them rather than sell to them. So I was able to win contracts relatively simply and retained in decent terms, which if you were from recruitment, you'd be surprised, because no one works retained. Everyone is on a contingent contract. You've got about a 1 in 5 chance of getting paid for the work you do. So it's a very tough industry, which is why recruiters have a bad rep, because they're just spraying and praying, hoping that someone's going to pay them.
I used to work in recruitment.
Well, there we go, Ben. We understand.
Yeah.
Great place to cut your teeth in like the industry of any kind, because you learn so much. So yeah, I applied that kind of methodology, started building my brand, posting as much content as I could on LinkedIn, because I knew that my agency was going to be directed towards founders and CEOs. They're on LinkedIn, kind of obvious decision. And then over kind of the next 12 months, I got so much inbound business off the back of LinkedIn that I had to hire a couple of people. By the year end, the following year, I think we were a team of 7. By the year after that, we're a team of 17. We went from 0 to 4 million in revenue in around 3.5 years.
So you went from 0 to 4 million in revenue in 3.5 years.
Yeah. It was a wild ride. But what I will caveat that with is that sounds very impressive, and people love to headline that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. I exited for this. We've done this in revenue. Yeah. I was working literally every single God-given hour of the day. I never saw my kids really. My weekends I was working, my evenings I was working. I was unhealthy. I was going through a divorce at the same time. I had 3 lawsuits in my business. I was probably I know I was a really bad manager. Like, I just didn't, because we were growing the business off the back of the business coming in. Yep. And I'd never had any serious management training before. I had a team before, but it was like 4 people. And my management style was like, we're going from A to B. You good? And they're like, yeah, like, let's go. And that only works for a certain type of person. It doesn't work for other people. And so I never really invested in working out how to manage a team, and therefore we'd have a lot of churn. Like, people didn't get the attention they deserved. I didn't have any middle management to support me either. And the ones that we did have, probably I didn't give the training to get to the level they needed to be. So it was chaotic, I will say, but fun.
And within that kind of 4 million in turnover and all that growth, in essence, just so I'm clear, you're working with a handful of companies, mainly big CEOs, trying to speak to them and build their personal brand and project them to the wider audience, predominantly through LinkedIn. Yeah. Right. That's okay, quite a cool. And then what happened from there then, roughly? To today?
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of blew up, I guess, in 2023. And it got to that point where, like, we'd outgrown the sort of startup phase and we were now into the scale up phase. And normally when you get into scale up phase, you have senior operations people, senior, all of these things,
all the layers that
which
you need.
we didn't have, right?
Yeah.
It was a Franken business. I was just pulling people in where there was holes and constantly backfilling various different things, and it just sort of like blew up, I guess, a little bit in my face. And we scaled down very quickly. I would say part forced, like we had a lot of my team leave in one go, which I understand why they did, but also I burned out. Like I so loosely brushed over it and sort of laughed about it, but if you've ever been through a divorce, if you've ever been through a lawsuit, imagine going through 4 of those things at the same time as growing a massively fast growing business. I just had nothing left to give. And in hindsight, if I'd got help like year 2, like it would have been the best decision I've ever made, because I'd still be running that bit. Like I'd still be probably at 100 headcount now and probably making 50 million a year. Like the growth trajectory of where we were going, and also as an area and expertise, personal branding has never been more important, right? So it kind of blew up in my face a little bit in 2023. So we scaled everything down, which I've loved. Like I've loved having a much smaller team, because I that works best for me, and it works best for the team as well. Having that more one-to-one time, and we can do much better work, but less of it, but much higher profit margins, obviously.
And this is always the problem with agencies, right? Is that you're the ideas machine. You're and then you put a team around you to try and learn your skills.
Scale your skill.
Yeah.
Which is almost impossible.
And then it gets to this point of going, then you need to take yourself out of the business, and you grow, and then you shrink and go, actually, no one's doing it quite as well as me, maybe. So let's just rein it in again. But also in that shrinkage, I suppose, has the market changed? Because obviously have people gone, I don't want to spend thousands a month for my personal brand. Has it changed? Where is like personal brand at right now?
Do you know what's so funny? I was literally speaking to my friend Charlotte Mayer yesterday. She runs an amazing agency called The Fitting Room. Like they do unbelievable work. Like you next guest for sure. Okay. She and I were talking about this yesterday. So I met her because she was one of my clients. I've met a lot of my very good friends because they were my clients. And she was saying, do you think people are spending in the same way as they were in 2021, 22? And I was like, no, absolutely not. Like we were charging $5,000 a month, which was pretty decent for us. And we did very well at it. We did a good job, and we've worked with some very big founders. Like I'm very lucky to have some very good testimonials from people who we did an amazing job for. But people don't need to spend that anymore. Like you look at AI, you look at also the cost of bringing this in-house. Now we've now got a solid 6 years of personal branding being relatively mainstream in business. So there is a solid, at least, let's say 3 years that someone could have been an expert in a specific field, like growing the founder brand, growing a personal brand, like rolling out human-led marketing within a team. So it's cheaper to bring it in-house. The thing that we're doing the most of at the minute. So agency, we don't take any new clients on for that anymore. My career has massively evolved since starting the business. I'm so grateful for Klowt, because it gave me the platform. Like it gives me the social proof. Like I've done it. Like I'm not just another person out here who's like, build your personal brand. Like here's how to go from 0 to 1 million followers in 90 days. Because that's not real. You pay for those followers, and like show me where show me your receipts. Where's your income? Where's the revenue? Where's the bank balance? Right? I've done it. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and I've done it myself. I haven't paid a team to do it for me, so I understand acutely how to do it. And I'm grateful for that experience. But now where we're going is like I'm a consultant. I do advisory work. I'm on the board of a couple of businesses where I'm in that kind of CMO, like human marketing role. So it's great because I have a much smaller team. I'm able to really embed into these businesses and help them grow this initiative out in-house, which I actually think is where this is going. I'd be very surprised if the big personal branding agencies that exist in the UK and the US are existing at the same level as they are today in 5 years' time. I think there'll be agencies that are like you go to for the like maybe the first 6 to 12 months to like understand how to do this, like get the strategy, like whatever. And then as you grow, you will bring it in-house because it's cheaper, it's better, and you get a better result from it.
Question, the phrase 2-word brand. So I've heard this before of people think when you think of your own personal brand, can you get your personal brand down to 2 words?
2 words, yeah.
And a person I always think about this is someone like, there's a personal trainer, James Smith.
Love him. One of my favorite accounts to follow.
Yeah. So James Smith, if you don't know him, he's a personal trainer, but he's massive now, millions and millions of followers. He sells online courses on how to do this. He built his entire brand off 2 words, calorie deficit. Mm-hmm. So his angle on fitness was being a calorie deficit. He made about 1,000 videos with calorie deficit at the core of every message. And you look at people like Joe Wicks, which was lean in 15. That was his thing. And then I think of even you, like I've been following you for years, and your brand, every post you did for years was personal brand, 2-word brand. What are your thoughts on trying to get your message and your identity into 2-word brand? Is it a thing you think about, or?
You know what's really funny? So I'm big on positioning, because I think if you can land your positioning as a business and an individual, then you've won the game. Like, because then it all is execution. Like most people, it's not an execution problem, it's a positioning problem. Most of the businesses that we speak to, most of the founders that we speak to are like, we've been posting for 12 months and we're not getting any leads. It's like, because no one fucking understands what it is that you do.
Yeah. Tell me, you're the person that does this.
Yeah. What do you do? Tell me, because I can't tell from your content.
Yeah.
I think 2 words is it's a great thing, right? Like 2-word brand, like it's a great that's someone else's brand, like they've coined that term. I think it's a great way to look at it. I don't know if you can fit it into 2 words, like lean in 15, right? It's 3. And personal brand, I would actually even argue my thing is just fucking post it. Like my whole brand is just fucking post it, and that comes in the form of promote your business, promote yourself, promote your friends. Like I am such a promote yourself. Like I want everyone to win. Like there's so much opportunity in the world, and yet so few of us get it because we're too scared to promote ourselves. So
and with that, the reason I asked that question is because a lot of people, and you talk about positioning, is I have it myself. I'm multifaceted, right?
We all are, right?
I do multiple. I want people to go, oh, Ben Hanlin, he's the guy that does this. But in reality, I do about 3 or 4 things. So when you're working with somebody and you're looking and they're saying, this is all I do, and you're going, we need to narrow this down. How do you do that, I suppose?
It's a great question, actually. So I look at like strategic concepts or projects that we're working with clients in there's 3 different buckets we need to fit. One is like, what's the thing that people are going to resonate with? So once we've identified your audience, like let's say the primary goal of building your personal brand is to generate leads for your business. You're the CEO of a business that's doing 25 million. You want to get to 100 million. I've got a client like that at the minute. Who do we need to attract to make that happen, right? So the first bucket is, how are you going to resonate with those people? Well, for me, like my ideal customers are founders, other executives, etc. So I'm going to share a lot of my content about my business journey, my failures, my fuck ups, the things I've done wrong. The fact I was speaking so candidly about the fact I was a crap manager. Like we've all been there at some point if you've run a business. Yeah. These are all things that relate to those people. So all of a sudden I have affinity with them. Fantastic. They like me. They trust me. The second thing that you need to do is think about how can you teach people something that you know how to do. So if your business is, for example, working in your marketing agency that specializes in performance, you might want to put a whole series of content out about like, here are some of the things my team are working on right now that's 10x this particular client's thing. Here are some trends that we're seeing at the moment in the agency that's actually made a massive difference to the bottom line of this particular client, right? So that's like this authority stuff. Yep. So you won't get as much like views and engagement on that, but the people that are viewing that content are exactly who you want to be selling to. And then finally you have stuff that sells you. Like this is your social proof, right? Testimonials, talking about wins, like you hired someone, you promoted someone, you won this new client, you did this amazing thing for this new business, like you've just reached your 100th customer, you've got your first customer, like whatever it is, that sells you because it's showing people that you're great rather than telling them. And if you can hit those 3 buckets, whether it's a personal brand strategy or a brand strategy, you will generate money. And the hilarious thing about this, Ben, is 97% of social media generates 0 ROI. Absolutely fucking nothing. And yet as a society and business, we spend over $230 billion a year on social media. And yet only 3% of that spend produces an ROI. And that's because people think, and business owners think, because they don't understand, really social media, they don't see it as you spoke about marketing being a creative part of a business. Marketing is sales. It's sales enablement. So if your socials have 100,000 followers and you're getting no sales from it, you suck. Your social team is not doing a good job. Have you got 5,000 followers and you're getting 5,000 sales a month, you're winning. You are doing a better job than 97% of the people online. So I wish people would rethink brand and social and marketing away from the kind of like jazz it up department. We need followers, like measuring. I've seen so many business owners be like, oh, but we have 10,000 followers. And I'm like, yeah, but none of them in your ideal customer base. So like, it doesn't, like, why do you care? Like, that's not a measurement of success for me.
No one's liking any of your content. Yeah. So what's the point?
Yeah. But also like, even if they were liking it, they're not the people you want to sell to anyway. So I don't like, how is that a thing that we're talking about?
So yeah, something you've just tipped on there is ego, right? Of going,
It's vanity.
And I think taking individuals, so many influencers, and people go, I've got 1 million followers, got 500,000 followers. And you're like, yeah, but half of them are in the other side of the world and can't buy your product or can't do anything with you. So it's all getting away from the ego and going, actually, let's look at, like you said earlier, quality. Let's go for the people that actually you want to talk to.
Or moreover, they follow you because you have 1 million followers. Like I've seen loads of big creators, and I don't want to trash them because they do an amazing job and they're all business owners and they all get leads from their following, right? But if you've got, let's say, 5 million followers and you're only getting 100 new clients a month, let's say, like whatever, that's a really shit conversion rate.
Yeah.
And that's normally because when you get to that tipping point of 1 million followers, people follow you just because you look like you're someone. It doesn't necessarily mean that they want to follow you because they want to buy from you. It just, they've seen other people follow you and they're like, oh, this person's interesting. Let me find out a bit more about them. If you make your content really niche, like I'm talking like you're an orthodontist for dogs, right? And that's what you talk about. Does your dog need braces? Like,
is that a thing?
I have no idea. I just made it up, but
fine.
It might be. I mean, we are in 2026 and like people can be whatever they want to be. Like if you want to be an orthodontist for a dog, like go for it. But who am I to tell you? But if you make all of your content around that, then you might get 500 followers, but they're all people who need dog braces. So it's a win. You're winning, right? And also, you asked a question earlier, does everyone need a personal brand? Like I was speaking to someone recently who runs a regional cleaning company, right? And they were saying, well, they used to make 300 grand a year. They're now doing 150. Like, should I invest in ads? Should I start doing social media, whatever? And I was like, no, just go knock on doors. Go and knock on doors and tell people this is what you're doing. Introduce yourself, give people a gift. Like go and have like message boards up in your local area. Go and contact local schools and say like, we're giving a discount to all the parents. Like do the face-to-face stuff. Not every business needs to be on social media. Like if you can build an amazing business where there is ability to see social proof that you know what you're talking about. So Google reviews, Trustpilot reviews, whatever. And you're a regional business that, you know, can't spend on social media or hasn't got time to, just go and do it the old-fashioned way, because no one does it anymore, Ben. Everyone goes, we need to post on TikTok. I'm like, you could, but you could also just go and knock on someone's door and make a sale instantly. Like it's entirely up to you.
Yeah. Let's dive into LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot of your output and what you're specialized in is the LinkedIn side of it. But so I'd imagine there's three types of people probably listening to this right now. Somebody that is on LinkedIn and probably does post a little bit. Somebody that is on LinkedIn and never posts and
stalks.
Yeah, and which is probably 90% of people on LinkedIn.
It is actually.
And
that is the statistic.
I've listened to your content. I mean, it's sunk in. And then the third person listening to this right now might be thinking, "Oh, are we really talking about LinkedIn? It's so uncool.
Yeah.
I'm not even on it because like it's just boring and rubbish, and it's a job board." So let's just quickly sum up. Where do you think LinkedIn is at right now? Because all of these social media platforms keep flip-flopping and changing, and they're not, I don't think, in their best places ever, a lot of them. Where do you think LinkedIn's at the moment?
LinkedIn is a Franken platform. And I love LinkedIn, but my whole career has been built on LinkedIn. But it's in this weird place right now where like 50% of us understand that it's an important tool and that employers are looking at us there. You know, potential leads are looking at us there. Like one of the things that I do when someone, like when I got the call to kind of come in here, the first thing I did is went on LinkedIn and was like, can I find you?
So you use that as your social
vetting
proof.
tool.
Vetting tool.
I want to make sure you're a legitimate person. It's not a scam. You're not like I want to know who you are basically. And I will always go to LinkedIn first because LinkedIn is the place, I know it sounds really terrible, but it's normally the place that people care about the least. Therefore, it's the most telling about them, right? People really think about their Instagram, they really think about their TikTok, they really think about their website, but like LinkedIn's the bottom of the pile. So for me, if you've not put a load of effort into really making your shop windows on all department floors look great, then we're probably not aligned, especially as my business is really big on LinkedIn. So I'm going to be working with someone and they're not doing a great job on LinkedIn, or they've not optimized something, then it's probably a misalignment, if you like, on values, should we say.
And also just there might be people listening to this who are going, well, I work for a big company, I can't be bothered with this. But if you ever want to look for a job,
let me just break this down for you. 70% of employers in 2025 said a personal brand is more important than a resume.
Wow.
And I know this for a fact. Even 15 years ago when I was in recruitment, or less than 12 years ago when I was in recruitment, the first thing I would do is I'd look a candidate up on LinkedIn. I wouldn't even look at their resume. I'd just see their name, I'd paste it into LinkedIn. Because, as I said earlier, like 1 out of 5 chance of getting paid, right? And I know the first thing my client's going to do when I call them up to talk to them about your profile is they're going to look you up on LinkedIn. So if your profile doesn't look good, I'm not going to bother sending it. It doesn't matter how good you are for the job. I have a very limited amount of time to place that role. And if your LinkedIn profile is not optimized, I haven't got time to tell you how to do it. So I'm going to do it for someone who is. Yeah. And everyone does that, even to this day. So if you are in the category of people who's like, oh, I don't need to do LinkedIn. If you want to have a job, if you want to have a future opportunity in any capacity, whether it's your internal one or an external one, you got to optimize your profile. You got to make yourself look worthy of being hired.
And I've got a theory on this. So taking that, what you're saying there about having a presence on LinkedIn, because that's the first place people look. My theory is, tell me, I haven't spoken this out loud, so tell me what you think, is that this year, next year, you're going to see more and more celebrities, what you famous people, whatever you want to call them, joining LinkedIn.
Yeah, 100%. Like Snoop Dogg just joined recently.
Did he?
Yeah. 100%.
And my theory is this, that
it's the business social media platform, right?
Yeah.
And we all want to be running businesses. Like even people who are full-time employed now are doing side hustles. And LinkedIn is the place where you potentially could meet your customers for your side hustle. So I think look, I would love to get my teeth into the LinkedIn strategy of where they want to go, because I think if they could become the home of business and people who want amazing careers, that would be game changing. Like they have 1 billion users now, they'd get up to 4 billion if they were able to nail that positioning. We talked about positioning earlier.
Hello, it's Ben. We're going to take a very short commercial break, and regular listeners know that doesn't really mean anything because we don't have any sponsors, so it's just a little interruption from me. Hello. This is Amelia. She's very to the point, isn't she? Very honest. She knows what she's doing when it comes to personal brand, and I have actioned, even since doing this, a few things just by being inspired from this conversation, which I'll actually probably explain at the end of this episode, what I've been doing since listening to this. So go and give her a follow on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And if you're on LinkedIn, so am I. You can have a little look on LinkedIn. There we can be business pals. We can do a corporate lunch. I don't know what happens. Right. That's that. What else do I need to tell you very quickly? Thank you. If this is your first time listening, I'm on this mission to try and build the world's biggest creativity podcast. And I'm doing it from scratch, one listener at a time. And all I need you to do, really, a couple of things. You'll hear this everywhere. Do hit that 5-star review button. It takes about 5 seconds. You could do it right now on Apple and hit that 5 stars makes a difference. If you've got 20 or 30 seconds, just hit a review, actually type out a review. The more that helps is it helps all the podcast apps understand that your podcast is good, and it'll show it to more people. The other thing I'd love you to do, the one thing really more than anything, is just WhatsApp this episode to somebody that you know. If you think there's one person that is a solopreneur or a creative or trying to build a business that could benefit from having a better personal brand or learning a bit, just send them this link and say, hey, I think you might like this. And then we've got one more listener. And if we keep doing that, the whole thing will grow. Previous episodes as well, there's been loads of great ones. We've had Matt Barry last week. We've had Matt Edmondson. We've had Simon Squibb. Andy Nyman was probably a personal favourite of mine, a writer, actor, and co-writes with Derham. Go back and have a look. And also, all of the DMs you've sent me as well have been lovely. I say this every time. As sad as my little ego is, it's really nice to know that you are getting enjoyment from this show. It makes me want to do more. So thank you. And I do reply to every single DM. So you can hit me up on Instagram at Ben Hanlin. Anyway, that's it for another week. We drop an episode every Friday. So make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's. Right, let's get back into this one. This is What's the Trick with Amelia Sordell. Actually, no, I'll tell you what I was going to do. I'm not going to ask you how you built your 250,000 followers, because I think you've talked about
just
this
posting.
Before. Yeah, exactly.
Basically,
and also with social media, the way you'd have done it 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago might be different. So actually, the question I want to ask you is, if you had to start today and get back to 250,000 followers, or a large number of followers of the people you want, the right quality, what are your kind of go-to strategy that you would adopt today from scratch?
I'd be very, very clear on what I was about, first of all. I'd also be very, very clear on what I was offering. So whether I'm on there to build my career, so I'm employed and I want to get a network of people in my network who may be able to help me in the future, or whether I'm selling something, like what is your offer? Like that's really, really important. And then from there, I would make sure that I'm posting as much as humanly possible, specific content for the people that I'm trying to attract. We spoke about that earlier. So if I'm trying to attract founders, I'm going to talk about running a business. If I'm trying to attract mothers, I'm going to talk about motherhood. If I'm trying to attract magicians, I'll talk about this trick that I'm trying to do and I'm really suck at it, right? Yeah. If I want to attract Dancing on Ice alumni, like, whatever. Okay, right. Like that, you want to niche down, right? And then the third thing, or the fourth thing that I would do is I'd find a way to take people off that platform. Because, you know, we spoke about going from 0 to 250,000 followers. That's great. Good for me. But what happens next? Like, what are those followers doing? So I'd probably start a newsletter, or I'd have some kind of like gated live show where you had to give me your email address to come and attend, which I do, both of those. And then I'd start accumulating a newsletter list, and I'd send out an email every single month or every single week or whenever I could to make them buy whatever it was I was selling. And if I did that consistently for 12 months, I'd probably have 1 million followers.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move break to how many posts a week, let's say, hypothetically?
I mean, if you really want it, if that was your goal to get to 250,000 followers every day.
Every day. And one thing you just talked about
You
content.
don't have to do that, by the way, to build any kind of brand. You could do it 2-3 times a week. But if you're trying to get from speed perspective, like every day.
Okay. And where would things like commenting fit in? Because I know you've talked about this a lot. Comment on a lot of people's posts, that kind of thing?
Less volume, more intention. So I comment on a handful of people's content a couple of times a week, but it's always posts that I have a very clear opinion on, a very clear knowledge point on, and a very clear perspective on. And I write it like a fucking paragraph. Like, I'm not like, great post, Ben, love you. I'm like, interesting take. Like, here's my perspective, or, oh my God, thank you so much for sharing this. This is actually my experience. What do you think? Like, it's always an intentional comment.
Okay. And so you're doing a bit of commenting. And then the other thing, you talked about before, you'd obviously target probably people and message and things like that. You mentioned about throwing out your failures. And I know why, because it makes you authentic and
Built
it's your
my career,
story. Ben. Yeah. So, and I've seen this a lot. You talk about, I messed up here. I got this wrong.
We've done it on this podcast. I was like, I fucking sucked at a manager.
Yeah. Well,
like, really, I probably still do. Sorry, Hannah.
So some people might go, hold on. I don't want my potential clients to know that I'm rubbish. So is there a trade-off?
So there's 2 points here. Number one, failures make you human. They don't put clients off. And actually a lot of the business that I've won and they've said like verbatim to me, one of the reasons they came to me was because I was so real. And I was so honest, and I wasn't pretending that everything was cupcakes and rainbows. I was like, oh, fucking hell, it's been a tough day. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what a day. And people like that. They gravitate towards that because they actually know that it's not cupcakes and rainbows. Like, building a business is cupcakes and rainbows one day, and then like razor blades and like cyanide the next. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. And I'm sure your career is exactly the same. It's big, big highs, low, low lows. It's not an even keel career choice to do what we do, right? But the second part of this is, of course, like, I'm not going to jump straight on LinkedIn the day that I've had to make people redundant and been like, I've just had to do this and it sucked, because, you know, there's another person that's at the other end of that, and you've got to consider their feelings and their perspective, and, you know, and how it's kind of disrespectful as well to use someone else's experience, which is also yours too, to win favor with other people when it's still real and raw. But in hindsight, absolutely, I'll talk about all of my failures. Like I said to you, we said, is there anything that is off limits? Absolutely nothing. Like, I am not ashamed of anything that I've done. Could I have done things differently? Of course, like we all could do things differently. But if I hadn't done those things differently, would I be where I am today? Probably not. So, you know, lessons learned. Like, I always think you get a good outcome or a good story. And all of my content has come from my bad outcomes. So
let's dive into content then. So where do ideas start with you?
But what I would say is, like, I get inspiration everywhere. So there'll be like 20, 30, 40 different things that I want to talk about off the back of this. Like, you know, there's already in my head is going, like, I find conversations with people really inspiring. I find podcasts really inspiring. I find walking in nature really inspiring. I find talking to my team really inspiring. Anywhere that I get inspiration from, I just record it straight away.
Okay.
Like, I document it. I don't create, I think is probably a good way to think about it.
So funny enough, I've spoken to comedians and they have the same, a lot of people who are creative, especially comedians, they're walking around their life with this lens that's on.
Yeah.
And when something feels funny to them, oh, there's a nugget.
Yeah.
I'm documenting, and then they'll noodle. They call it noodle over it.
Yeah, same. I do noodle it. Like, noodling on Australia is so noodling in Australia probably means something different. It's like miners, very niche. Opal miners in Australia, they dump piles out of dirt while they're trying to find opals, right? And noodling is when people go in the dark of night and like pump open the gates that they're not meant to be there, and they noodle through the pile to see if they can find any opals. So it's kind of same kind of thing.
Ah, there you go.
Sift through the dirt.
So how do you document? Do you literally pull up your phone every time, and are you voice noting? Are you writing it down? What you do?
It depends on the thing, but like for example, on the way here, there's a podcast that came out recently that I wanted to talk about, so I immediately just recorded a video. Like there's no point in me even trying to document that to then polish it. Like it's a current trending thing, so I want to get it out as quickly as possible. So I just put my face in the phone. I was walking down the road, people were walking past me, probably thinking, "Who the fuck does she think she is?" Like I don't care. So that's done. Well, a secondary point to that is I voice note myself all the time, and I send myself ideas. So there's an article I've seen, a book I've read. Like I was inspired by this water bottle. Like I'd take a picture of it, send it to myself in a WhatsApp chat.
So you have a WhatsApp chat with yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's where you bank it. So
I store everything because it's then easy for me to forward it to people or like remunerate over things like,
Oh, that's really good. So
otherwise it's like notes, email, like whatever. I can send everything there because you can store media there, links there, photos there, like everything there.
So I store things in my notes, and you're right, I can't store voice notes. I can't store.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a WhatsApp chat to yourself that you then forward on.
Yeah.
That's very clever. Okay, so that gets you over the time. So start with the idea. So you get inspiration anywhere.
Yeah.
If you ever have to, let's keep with the inspiration. Do you ever deliberately search for inspiration anywhere?
Yeah, I look, like I think if you're a creative person, you've got to consume to create. Like whenever I'm in a stage where I don't, like I'm feeling very uncreative or my brain is blocked or I'm having what I call a non-download moment. Like you're like writer's block. You're desperately searching for something and nothing's coming. It's usually because I've not been consuming anything. I've not been reading. I've not been listening to podcasts. I've not been listening to music. I've not been watching new shows. I've not been reading the paper, like going for walks, like whatever it might be. So as soon as I do that, it all just comes back again. So you have to consume to create.
If you were quickly going, I'm on my computer, do you have a quick go-tos you like?
Yeah, I normally will go through my newsletters that come into my emails. So I'm signed up to probably like 15, 20 newsletters that I love from creators that I love and founders that I love and whatever. So I'll just go through there and see if there's anything that's interesting. I'll listen to podcasts, and quite often I'll also just go and have a look at what other creators have just posted. Like what is happening in the world? What are they talking about? Like what are people pissed off about? Like I want to see what other people are talking about, because that's how inspiration comes from each other, right?
So I have a confession. I do that with yours.
Oh, cool.
So
I love that.
This is I have a similar thing. So I love the book Steal Like an Artist, which is, first thing is find things you love and steal it. And
it's a pre-validated idea, so why wouldn't you?
So if I'm having writer's block on LinkedIn and I'm posting about 6-7 times a week, so I'm like, just a bit blurry at the moment. I've got half a dozen people that I know always make great, and I skim through your stuff. I see what gets more engagement, less engagement. So the audience is telling me what's resonating, and I look at it. And I'll be honest with you, I put a thing out last week, which was I see you introduce yourself a lot. And I'd never done it. Yeah. And I see it a lot. And I'm like, well, you're doing it. So I was like, okay, well, I can introduce myself. And I didn't, obviously, you wouldn't.
I bet it did really well, did it?
It did amazingly well. Yeah, thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
You're like,
no, but I got that idea from someone else. So
yes.
I saw someone post this introduction post and I was like, oh, I've seen them do this before. This is really cool. So then I started doing it. And I also do these things where I'm like, introduce yourself to other people. So there's another post that I do that go, hi, my name's Amelia. I've built this amazing following, blah, 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 blah. And I did this through connecting with people. So you take advantage of my community and introduce yourself to them. I get thousands of comments from people being like, hi, my name's Steve. I'm running this thing. And it's really cool. And that was inspired from someone else too. Nothing's original. Yeah.
So there we go. So you start there, and then you've documented your idea. And then let's talk about, because this will also give people an idea of going, well, how do we actually turn this into reality? What happens next? How does it go from idea, voice note, whatever it is, to 6 or 7 LinkedIn articles a week?
So normally I have to caveat this with, this is my full-time job, right? Like I'm now a creator, a podcaster, entrepreneur, like creative first. Everything I do is creative first.
How many hours a week?
2 days I spent creating content.
2 full days, or you split it across?
2 full days. Monday, Tuesday. I record between 20 to 25 videos a week. And then that will then get transcribed and turned into LinkedIn posts. So we've got 50 pieces of content straight away. The best performers will get turned into carousels for Instagram. So again, we've probably got 75 out of that. And then I'm also writing content too, which then if they do well, they become video scripts and then they become carousels too. So those 2 days produced, 200 odd maybe plus pieces of content.
And a lot of this content, at the core of it all, is storytelling.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether it's a video, a picture, a YouTube, a TikTok, a LinkedIn, it's story. Yeah. And that's what I've noticed about you, is you're always telling stories. So what are your thoughts on storytelling and how you think about constructing a story?
So if we think about the creative process of constructing a story, for me, it always starts with Like, how is this going to appear and appeal to the person I'm telling it to? So if, for example, when I'm doing my podcast and I tee up a question and I'm speaking to a female founder who has just had her third baby and maybe she's breastfeeding and she's just done that before we got in the car, I might tee up my question with like, I remember when I was breastfeeding, it's fucking savage. Like this happened. So tell me about your experience then. And the reason why I tee it up that way, specifically designed for whoever it is I'm speaking to, whether it's an individual or ideally a mass audience, is because people want to feel seen. They want to feel like they're understood. Like if you think about meme culture and virality, there isn't special hooks or construct your video this way or construct your image this way. It's going to guarantee to go viral. The thing that makes things go viral is resonance and people feeling like they can see themselves or see an experience or something within that piece of content. So when you start your stories with the thing that people are going to see themselves in, it makes them want to listen to the rest of what you have to say. So for example, I might start something saying, I was fired from my first job after 7 months of working there. That might make someone else who had a first job they got fired from be like, me too.
Right.
And that is the goal of any piece of content. You want someone to say, me too, right? And then you can go into the kind of bones of a story. And then most of my stuff, I call it the content sandwich. You open with like that piece.
Yeah.
You then go into the context behind what you said. You then go into the bones of it. So, the filling of the sandwich. What did you learn? What's the key takeaway? Like what kind of information are you trying to impart on whoever is listening or reading or whatever? And then the final bit, the bit of bread right underneath, is like the call to action. Like what is the thing that you want people to take from this or do after they've engaged with this content? Are you asking them a question? Are you saying something that's bold enough for people to go, again, me too? Are you asking them to forward something, comment something, sign up for something, whatever it is? And that content sandwich is like basically how all good stories are told.
Wow. Thank you. We could end the pod there if you want. No, that
and exit.
No, but do you know what's really interesting? The first thing you said there about people going, me too, I can see myself there. And this is what's really interesting about this series we've done is, so I interviewed Andy Nyman, actor, and he talked about when he's a character on stage, he's basically people in the audience are trying to say, I can see even that character that's a bit crazy or I don't like him, I can see a bit of me in that. I've been in that person's position. And we're all looking at fiction and people on TV and films. And the reason we connect with them, we're seeing parts of people we know, or we're seeing parts of ourselves in these characters. One thing I didn't ask you actually about posting is, other than time, people are also thinking, I'm scared of posting.
Yeah.
The fear of posting. Because what if people see it and judge me and I'm scared of that? How do we get, because that must be a big objection you get a lot. How do we get over this idea of, you say just effing post it. Yeah. But people go, I don't want to, I'm scared. Yeah. How do we get over that?
I mean, look, it's like the same question of like, how do you get confident? Right? It's getting confident at something, just like getting confident at posting, asking someone out on a date, asking someone for a pay rise, like whatever it is all comes back to the same thing, which is to just do it. Like confidence to post, to, walk up to strangers, to speak on stage, etc., doesn't come from you thinking about how am I going to get confident. It doesn't come from you listening to podcasts on it or watching YouTube videos on it or reading a book about it. It comes from you doing the thing and doing it over and over and over and over again till you get the result from doing the thing that you want. Right. And actually confidence in posting or whatever it is that we're talking about doesn't come from, a strategy or whatever. It literally comes from having the courage to do the thing long enough to get the outcome you want, so that you have the evidence that you didn't die. And actually it is a good thing to do. And once you have that evidence, you then go, oh, okay, this is not so bad. But you have to keep doing it to get to that point.
Well, let's talk about, so sticking with confidence. So something I've been watching with you the last few years is, as obviously you've grown, your personal brand's grown, you have been on stages. Yeah. So your public speaking is
basically my full-time job now.
Oh,
so
is
I'm
it?
Just on stage, yeah. I love it.
Well, let's talk about this public speaking. So it's a thing that people have to deal with in all sorts of life, and a lot of people are scared of it. And you probably had to deal with this quite fresh in the last few years of getting up to speed. So let's talk about that. What was the last few years? Are you a nervous-ish person? Were you ever nervous getting on stage? How have you dealt with those nerves? And how have you built your confidence to stand in front of 1,000 people, 500 people, and be as relaxed as you can be?
So there's probably like a bit of a backstory here. When I was a kid, I've always been confident. Like I don't think anyone would ever say I was a shy individual.
I don't. I'm getting those vibes, Amelia.
But the thought of speaking to strangers, standing up and being in the spotlight, all of that kind of stuff, it made me feel physically ill. To the point where when I was a kid, if we were in a restaurant, my dad would order my food because speaking to the waiter was so terrifying to me. I just couldn't. I'd be like, Dad, I want this. And he would just do it for me. Shout out, Dad, you're the best. But as I became a woman and like got into my career, and as you said, like even if you don't want to speak on stages, we all have a stage at some point in our career we have to speak on, whether it's you have to speak up at a meeting, you have to present something back, you've got to ask for a job, ask for a pay rise, tell someone you're quitting. Like they're all versions of a stage.
You got to find your voice.
You got to find your voice. And when I got to about 29, in fact, I was about 28, I think, when I did my first speaking gig. So pre-Klowt, pre-personal brand. But I'd started talking about it already. I was already posting content. I was already like saying this human-led marketing is a thing, particularly for service-led businesses. And LinkedIn asked me to come and do a talk. So I went and spoke to 150 people about employer branding and the importance of humans within employer branding, and forgot every single thing that I was going to say.
What? So this is the fear, right? Is that you walk on stage and no words come out?
Nothing. So absolutely nothing.
What happened?
I sweated a lot. Number one. And number two, I just had to think on my feet. And it's every single thing that I thought and was scared of going wrong happened. What? Like everything.
Deer in the headlights, pausing.
Sweat under my arms, sweat on my face, forgot my words, like look back at all the pictures now, lipstick on my teeth, like every single thing that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Yeah.
And I suppose there's two things here. One, I know what I'm talking about. So I was on that stage because I knew what I was talking about. So yes, I was panicked. Yes, I was fumbling my words. I think if that was being filmed, I would have been like, oh my God, like I really fucked that up.
Yeah.
But the audience didn't. Like the audience probably saw a person who was a bit nervous on stage and maybe it was their first time. But they still asked questions. They still like waited for me to pause and like collect myself before I answered stuff, before I said what I needed to say. And I think the thing is, like, we all think that people notice our mistakes and that they care deeply about our mistakes and that they're never going to forget them. And that's what really, like, there's a permanence to that, right? We spend our entire lives thinking in the future and in the past, judging ourselves, like aspiring for great things and then judging ourselves when we don't achieve them, or handling things in a way that we didn't want to handle them, right? But other people don't do that. They're doing it for themselves. Like 99% of people don't give a shit about you. And I say that in the best way. So you just got to get over yourself. Like, get over yourself. No one cares about it as much as you do. And that first time was a total fuckery. Like, could not have gone worse, right? But I didn't fall over. Could have gone worse. But then the next time I did it, I was like, okay, so what can I do to make sure that never happens again? Like, yeah, I'm going to be nervous. I know I'm going to be nervous, but like, what could I do to make sure that at least I remember something of what I'm going to do? So instead of preparing these ridiculous slides and trying to remember every single thing that I was meant to say word for word, I memorized my introduction because I was like, if I can introduce myself at least, then I can kind of just ramble for 40 minutes and it'll be fine. Yeah. So I memorized my introduction, and actually a friend of mine told me that as a hack. Harry Hugo, who co-founded the Go agency that exited last year, like, he's an amazing person. You should go and follow him on social media. He told me if you can just get your first 30 seconds right, it sort of calms your nerves a little bit because you've nailed it, like instant gratification. And then oftentimes it will then tee you up to be able to deliver the rest of it. So I did that. And the second thing I did, I just bullet pointed what I wanted to say. So I had like literally just like written, I think probably on my hand, it's probably like rubbing it all over my face. Just like pen, biro down my face of like the points I wanted to hit. And it didn't really matter if I did it in the order that I'd prepared or not. It just mattered that I hit those points. And the second one I did, like, again, wasn't my best work, but it was better than the last one. And that then gave me the confidence to go, okay, maybe I can do this again.
Do you know what was really interesting? What you said about people don't care about it. And you're right. There's that thing that the reason we get so nervous, I think, is because we care so much about what other people think of us. But most of the time, people are too busy thinking about themselves.
Yeah, and thinking about people judging them.
Yes. And the other thing that I think is really interesting is, so it's funny what you said, that people hardly notice your mistakes. I always find this as a performer, things that I think is like, I've had a terrible show and it's 4 out of 10, it's 3 out of 10, it's awful. Somebody might have seen that as a 7 out of 10. It's never as bad as you
or a
think.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's never, ever, ever as bad as you think it is in your head, first of all.
100%.
And the second of all is, I talk about this a lot, is how bad people's memories are. So there's this thing that they reckon that a week after seeing a presentation, you only ever remember maximum 10% of it.
Yeah.
So an hour or two after this, they're going to have forgotten all of the fluff anyway. They're going to forget the mumbling and the stumbling, and maybe you mispronounce somebody's name and you're thinking, oh my God, I've mispronounced somebody's name. They're going to forget that within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So their memory's so bad, they forget all of the fluff. I think it's kind of interesting.
I read something earlier today that said within 3 generations, no one even will remember your name. So why would you allow the fear of people's judgment and looking at you and thinking you're doing the wrong thing stop you from doing the things that you want to do? Because they're not going to remember it anyway.
Yeah.
So everyone's dying. We're all they're all getting off this ride in the same way. So just go for it. And it's a very cliche thing to do, but I believe in life you get given these big red button moments, I call them. And one of my first big red button moments was when COVID happened and I had the opportunity to start my own business, right? I could either stay in the job that I wasn't really enjoying, or I could just smash that big red button and quit my job with no savings, nothing, a mortgage due the following week, and just hope for the best, right? We all get these moments where we can either choose the life we've already got, and that is a choice, or we can choose to blow the whole thing up and do something different. And sometimes we don't take them, and that's okay. Maybe you're not ready yet, but those buttons will keep presenting themselves to you until you push it. And for me, like, my MO this year is like, how many red buttons can we push? How many do not press can we like go for? Because it's on the other side of blowing up everything that you get the most incredible. It's like you level up. It's like, I think life's a video game, right? Every time you press that big red button and you blow up what you've already got, you're then into that next level. And the more you can do that, I think the more you kind of succeed and get to where you want to go.
One thing I didn't ask you about is when it comes to ideas and projects, you're clearly a busy person. There's a lot going on inside your head. You're like, we could do this, we could do this. How do you structure what ideas and projects you're going to do next or focus on, and what you're going to just pause and let that idea just drift away?
Do you know what's super interesting? So I am, as you said, I think if you're a creative person inherently and you're slightly neurospicy, you are always
neurospicy.
Yeah, you've always got ideas. Like you see a bin and you're like, I could design that better. Like, here's the business plan.
Yeah,
that's like literally my brain is constantly in that. I'd be like, oh, imagine if we could like design this like this, and it would be so much better. Like, I could be a billionaire with how many ideas I've had for stuff. Like Deliveroo, for example, I'm pretty sure we all had that idea 5 years before Deliveroo came out, but none of us could be asked to execute it. Someone did, they're now a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
We all have $1 million ideas, but we don't execute them. And last year for me was a very big lesson, because I've always been someone who's like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And last year we did a lot of it. Like, we tested a lot of stuff. And couple of kind of positives that came out of it is we learned what our positioning was. We learned really intimately who our audience was. We learned like maybe what the next stage in the business and my career is. Like, we learned where everyone fits in. Like, it was a great year because we just sprayed and prayed and figured it out, because we executed pretty much 70% of all the ideas we had. But on the other side of that, like, you can't just have 1,000 ideas and maybe put like a penny into all of them. You have to kind of pick a few and just go balls to the walls on them, because otherwise you're never going to get anywhere. It's like if you're a sports person, you were doing football, ping pong, tennis, paddle, like you'd never be great at one because you're spending too much time training for all of them. So for me now, and the big lesson for me going into this year is like, okay, so where really are we going, right? What is the number one thing we want to be? And for me, I want to build a podcast that is representative of the modern woman, right? That's my numero uno. Everything underneath that is whatever. And then for the rest of the year, there's only 2 or 3 initiatives we're focusing on. Everything is under that, and that's the priority. And I've given the remit to the team. I'm like, any other ideas that are not to do with those 3 things, you just smile and nod.
Yeah, totally agree. Amelia, we have come to the end of the podcast. We're on our final Ben's Fast 5. Are you ready for my Fast 5?
Yes.
All right, question number 1. Highlander question. If you could steal anyone's skills on this planet, who would it be?
If I could steal anyone's skills on this planet, I would probably steal Alex Hormozi's ability to juggle content creation and scaling businesses, because I think he is an amazing example of someone who, like you were talking about, I don't have the time. He has the time. He's got a portfolio worth over $250 million and still finds time to create content. And I would love to learn the systems that man has used to scale both.
Yeah. And he's doing about 20 hours a week making content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Time capsule. So the mythical powers that be are putting one of your pieces of work, it could be a project, it could be a piece of content, it could be anything you want, one thing you've done into a time capsule to live forever. Everything else will be incinerated.
Yeah.
What one thing are we keeping?
My lives, probably. I have a weekly show called The Branded Show. And it's, as of 2 weeks' time, is going to become a full-time podcast, which is exciting. But it's a live show. It's shot like a TV show. And in there, I go through my rant of the week. Okay. Very personal. I go through trend or trash. So the things that are happening in business in the world that I think are trend or trash. And then we have one business owner come on every single week, basically telling me some things that they need some help with. And then we workshop it together. And that doesn't get that many views for me. Like, we have maybe 200 to 300 people live come, which is amazing. But the impact that that show has on individuals that do come is insane. Like, every time we do that show, we get emails, messages, screenshots, social posts, like people saying, this has changed my life. So I would keep that.
And where can we find that?
If you go to ameliasordell.com/live, you can come and join us on the next one.
All right. I will do it. I've not seen that. I've not been on one. Right.
No, we don't promote it enough.
There you go. Right. Culture Vulture. What one book, film, TV, song, music, anything you've seen recently that you've loved?
God, I am a Real Housewives franchise, like, obsessed.
Which ones?
All of them, Ben.
Yeah.
I use my downtime to find out what's happening. And my favorite housewives are probably Heather Gay. Like, she is an icon. And I just love it. I just love watching rich women shout at each other. It's
and it's switch your brain off. It's like fast food. It gives you what it needs to give you.
But also the story arcs are just brilliant. Fine. Like, this one's leaking that to the press, and that one smacked that one with a handbag. Like, I just love it. Like, what's not to love?
Okay. I mean, I've got no idea like what you're referencing, but I will take that as great. It's fine. Magic wand. I'm going to hand you my magic wand.
Oh, that's a bit forward.
Behave. And the power is with you now. You can make anything vanish from the world. We can say the world of social media, if you like. Anything you want just to make the world a bit of a better place. What would you make it vanish?
I would make polarity vanish. So people seeing your opinion and saying you're wrong.
Okay.
I went to school where we did debate. We learned how to have arguments. We learned how to bring evidence. We also learned to respect other people's opinions when you didn't even just agree with them, right? So I would make that disappear, because social media, unfortunately, and fortunately, algorithmically is built to give you more of what you engage with. So everyone believes that their opinion is fact. So when they see someone who might be challenging their facts, they believe that they are right and that person is wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think that is actually fundamentally, everyone talks about the world is rubbish and blah, blah, blah. That's the only thing that we need to change. Because if you got rid of that, then we'd be tolerant of political views, sexual orientation, like career decision. Like, you wouldn't care as much as we all care. There's a big difference between you having an opinion and having a fact. And I think the ability to respect other people's opinions is fundamentally what we need more of.
Great. Perfect answer. And final question. What is the trick to, I'll be specific on this one because we get an interesting answer. What is the trick to building a personal brand today?
The trick to building a personal brand is understanding exactly why you're trying to do it, knowing exactly who you need to attract to make that goal happen, and then creating content for that person to fall in love with you and want to buy from you.
There we go.
And that's it.
Thank you very much. It's been a lovely chat, Amelia.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
So that was Amelia Sordell. And we had this conversation about a week or so ago. And what she said has been percolating with me. And I've definitely got some key takeaways that I wanted to share. So for me, things that stood out from that episode was the way she batches her content 2 days a week. Now, I do that, but I don't do it to that extent. And she's committing to putting that as a huge priority. Now, that's not going to work for everyone because, as she says, she is a content creator. That's her prime job. But the fact that she's willing to put 2 days aside to do that. And then I've heard Alex Hormozi, who's running $100 million company, puts 20 hours a week aside for social media. And it makes me think, do you know what? How much am I going to ring fence of my time to prioritize the social media? I thought that was really interesting. Real simple tip, and I've done it already and I've seen the results, is commenting on LinkedIn posts. I was going for more comments, probably with less substance, whereas actually I've started doing 1 or 2 meaningful comments a day, and I've noticed really good engagement. I did a comment the other day and it got 800 impressions, which for a comment is pretty good. So I thought that was interesting, change the way I'm commenting. Another big thing was overthinking. The fact to hear her, who's a content creator, the big audience, she has a thought, She picks up her phone and she goes and just does it. That is thought to execution so short. And that is something I'm taking away from that, of like, how do I do that? How do I come up with a thought and execute straight away for a social media piece of video? I'm going to start thinking and executing that. And then I suppose the other big thing really is for content ideas, leaning into your failures, which 99.9% of people do not want to share. And she's like, that is where the magic is. That's where the real human engagement is and connection is, when you show the side that normally you keep to one side. There we go. So that is my, sorry, you probably can hear my daughter has walked into the room. Delilah, hello. She needs to get paper. Wow, that was worth stopping the podcast for. That is the world. Okay, shush now, please. Go away. Can she go and get a job already? This is the world I'm in. I've got to wrap things up because children are around. Enjoy the rest of your week. We drop an episode every Friday. This has been What's the Trick with Amelia Sordell.